الحمد لله الحمد لله الذي أبدع الأفلاك والأرضين، والصلاة على من كان نبيا وآدم بين الماء والطين، وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد، فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وتوكل على الحي الذي لا يموت. آمنت بالله، صدق الله مولانا العظيم، وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم، ونحن على ذلك لمن الشاكرين والشاهدين، والحمد لله رب العالمين. ببركة إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. درود شريف. اللهم صل على سيدنا ونبينا وشفينا ومولانا محمد عبدك ورسولك ونبيك، وصل على المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات. Each and every one of you join in. As-salatu was-salamu alayka ya Sayyidi ya Rasulullah, wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Sayyidi ya Khataman Nabiyyin. Raditu billahi rabban wa bil Islami dinan wa bi Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa sallam rasulan wa nabiyyan. Honorable and respectable elders, brothers and sisters, lovable youngsters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I welcome each and every one of you to our daily dars Ahadith Mubarakah from the famous and renowned work of Imam Abu Zakaria An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, known as Riyadh Al-Saliheen min Kalami Sayyidil Mursaleen. Bihamdillahi ta'ala wa birahmati Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Today we have reached the halfway point in this blessed month of Mahi Ramadan. We are all observing the 15th fast of this noble and virtuous month. And today is also the Wiladat ba Sa'adat of Nawasai Rasul, Nabi ka Noor Ain, Imam Hassan Mujtaba radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. And we make sincere dua that Allah Tabarak Ta'ala continuously raises the darajat of Huzur Jane Jana Lajpal Nabi Karim Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's Nawase, Ahlul Bayt, Azwaj Mutaharat, Ashabi Rasul, and that Allah Almighty Jalla wa Ala allows us to maintain our nisbat, our ta'alluq, our connection with the members of the household and the family of Lajpal Nabi Karim Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Just before we come towards today's discussion, I just want to mention this point, that we as Ahli Sunnati wal Jama'at, we love Imam Hassan Mujtaba radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, just as we love Imam Adi Maqam, Nawasai Rasul, Nabi ka Noor Ain, Imam Hussain radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. We don't prefer one over the other. Rather, we do tazkirah of both of the Nawasi of Rasul Akram sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, and all of the Al and all of the Ashab of Rasul Akram sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. In terms of their maqam, we do not prefer one over the other. But in terms of their darajat, no doubt there is a distinction. For example, we know that it is our core belief and aqidah that Afdalul Bashar Ba'd al-Anbiya bit-tahqiq is Yare Ghar, Yare Mazar, Sayyiduna Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Then Sayyiduna Umar Farooq radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Then Sayyidina Uthman Ghani radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Then Maulai Kainat, Maulai Kul, Hassan और Hussein का बाब Sayyiduna Ali Murtaza radiyallahu ta'ala anhum. And this is the position of the mainstream Ahli Sunnati wal Jamaat, As-Sawadul A'zam. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala keep us qaim and daim upon this aqidah. Today is the 15th of Ramadan, which marks the Wiladat Basa'adat of Nawasai Rasul, Nabi ka Noor Ain, Imam Hassan Mujtaba radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. And as I was just mentioning, and to emphasize again, we love Imam Hassan Mujtaba just as we love Imam Hussein. We do not prefer one over the other. Rather, we as Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'at, we remember them both equally, we love them both equally, and we honor and respect both of them equally. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala keep us qaim wa daim upon this muhabbat and this ta'zeem and hurmat for all of the family members and the ashab of Rasul Akram sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Aaj ka mawzu inshallah azza wa jal is in relation to Babun fil yaqini wa tawakkul, the chapter in relation to conviction and reliance upon Allah Almighty Jalla wa Ala. This is the 7th chapter in Riyadh Al-Saliheen, and as Imam Abu Zakaria An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala does with every chapter, he begins by mentioning chand ayat mubarakah in relation to the actual mawzu and topic from Al-Quran Al-Kareem. And here they mention 7 verses, 7 ayat mubarakat, ayat muqaddasat from Al-Quran Al-Kareem in relation to the importance of yaqeen or tawakkul. Yaqeen or tawakkul. And in light of the current situation and the circumstances that we find ourselves in, where we have just entered into week 8 of this unprecedented self-isolation and lockdown period, this topic and this discussion is very important. Having yaqeen and tawakkul in Allah Almighty Jalla wa Ala is of the utmost importance. So before we come to all these verses from Al-Quran Al-Kareem, let's look at what these 2 words, yaqeen and tawakkul, mean. They mention and write here in the introduction to this chapter that yaqeen means knowledge in which there is no doubt. Ilm in which there is no shak or shubha. Knowledge in which there is no doubt. And technically it refers to belief in something, to be certain in a particular way, to be in a certain way. And it refers to belief in something in a certain way with the absolute faith that it cannot be otherwise. This is yaqeen. Yes, that you believe something to be exactly as it is, in a particular way, in a certain way, and you have full iman, full faith and belief in this, that it cannot be in any other way. And according to some ulama karam, it refers to the perception of the power of iman, not on the basis of proof and explanation. Like we have in the opening of Surah Al-Baqarah Sharif, Allah Almighty mentions the characteristics of the muttaqeen. Hudan lil muttaqeen, or pehli sifat, alladhina yu'minuna bil ghayb. That Allah Almighty says that no doubt He guides those who are pious people, and then mentioned subsequently after verses 3 and 4, Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala mentions 5 characteristics of the muttaqeen, and the first sifat, the first characteristic of the muttaqeen is alladhina yu'minuna bil ghayb, that the pious people, the muttaqeen, they are those individuals who believe in the ghaib. They believe in the unseen. uh, and this is linked here to yaqeen, that it refers to a perception with the power of iman, not on the basis of proof and explanation. Yes. So understand, this is what yaqeen means. फिर अगला लफ्ज क्या है? Tawakkul. Tawakkul. And tawakkul is defined as having faith upon Allah Almighty Jalla wa'ala, turning to Him and subjecting oneself before Him instead of relying on one's own strength and power. So placing your trust in Allah Almighty Jalla wa'ala and placing your faith in Allah Almighty Jalla wa'ala, this is the definition of tawakkul, that relying upon Allah and not upon one's own strength and power. And it should be noted that trusting and placing one's full reliance upon Allah Almighty Jalla wa'ala as the one whose decisions will come to pass does not necessarily entail renouncing the means and the methods to achieving an outcome. Some people, when it comes to tawakkul, they place all of the reliance upon Allah Almighty Jalla wa'ala without ensuring that they have done what is required and what is necessary from them. This isn't tawakkul. Rather, tawakkul is that you do what is necessary and you do what is needed and what is required from yourself, and then you adopt the means and the methods of achieving an outcome, and then no doubt you place your trust and tawakkul in Allah Almighty Jalla wa'ala. Like the famous narration where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that when it comes to tawakkul, it is important that we ultimately tie the camel, and then we place our trust in Allah Almighty Jalla wa'ala. Yes, we tie the camel first. Tying the camel is necessary. Yes, then we place our trust in Allah Almighty Jalla wa'ala, and this is how tawakkul works. That you do what is required, what is necessary on your part, and then place your trust in Allah Almighty Jalla wa'ala. And no doubt the one who relies on other than Allah Almighty, that person chooses unwisely, because everyone and everything besides Allah Almighty will perish. That kullu man alayha fan wa yabqa wajhu rabbika dhul jalali wal ikram fabi ayyi ala'i rabbikuma tukadhiban. So this was an introduction in relation to the words yaqeen and tawakkul. Yes, coming on to the verses from Al-Quran Al-Kareem regarding conviction and reliance upon Allah Almighty Jalla wa'ala. Very ayat that Imam Sharafuddin or Imam Abu Zakaria An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala mentioned and to naqal of is the ayat and the verse from Surah Al-Ahzab, Surah number 33, verse number 22, that قال الله تعالى وَلَمَّا رَأَى الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الْأَحْزَابَ قالوا هذا ما وعدنا الله ورسوله وصدق الله ورسوله وما زادهم إلا إيمانا وتسليما. That when the believers saw the confederates, this was during the battle of Ahzab, which Allah Almighty mentions in this surah. This whole surah is dedicated to this battle that took place in the 5th year after Hijrah in Dore al-Madinatul Munawwara. So Allah Almighty says that when the believers, the Sahaba Karam, saw the confederates, they said that this is what Allah and His Messenger had promised us. That هذا ما وعدنا الله ورسوله وصدق الله ورسوله, and Allah and His Messenger had spoken the truth. And they said that this only increased their conviction. وَمَا زَادَهُمْ إِلَّا imanan wa taslima, and no doubt it increased their submission to Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So from this verse we understand and conclude that when you place your trust in Allah Almighty Jalla wa Ala, when you come to this understanding and conclusion that no doubt Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam no doubt speak the truth, and what they have promised transpires, then this is something that leads to your conviction and your submission being increased in Allah Almighty Jalla wa Ala. Agli ayat Surah Ali Imran, verse number 173, 174. الذين قال لهم الناس إن الناس قد جمعوا لكم فاخشوهم فزادهم إيمانا وقالوا حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل فانقلبوا بنعمة من الله وفضل لم يمسسهم سوء واتبعوا رضوان الله والله ذو فضل عظيم. That those to whom the people said that the people have gathered against you, so fear them, this only increased their faith. And they said that Allah Almighty is sufficient for us and He is the best of helpers. That Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. So they returned with Allah Almighty's grace and bounty without any harm even touching them. And they submitted to the pleasure of Allah Almighty Jalla wa Ala. And no doubt Allah Almighty is the possessor of great bounties. Allah is the possessor of great bounties. इसी तरीके से अगली आयत में सूरत al-Furqan में verse number 58, Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala says, the verse that I recited in the khutbah at the beginning, وَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى الْحَيِّ الَّذِي لَا يَمُوتُ, that Allah Almighty says that place your trust in the ever-living who cannot die. So this is clear. In this verse we have our Aqidah as well, that Allah Almighty Jalla wa Ala is not subject to perish or decay. Allah is Al-Baqi. Allah will remain just as He has always been. And the verses that I mentioned earlier, that كُلُّ مَنْ عَلَيْهَا فَانٍ وَيَبْقَى وَجْهُ رَبِّكَ ذُو الْجَلَالِ وَالْإِكْرَامِ, affirm this understanding that Allah Almighty is Baqi and Makhluk, Banda is Fani. So Allah Almighty in this verse in Surah Al-Furqan is saying that place your trust in Allah Almighty Jalla wa Ala, for indeed Allah is the ever-living who can never die. So when you place your trust in the ever-living, then no doubt you are placing your trust in the right place. وَعَلَى اللَّهِ فَلْيَتَوَكَّلِ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ, Surah Ibrahim verse number 11. And only in Allah should the believers place their trust. So when it comes to tawakkul, when it comes to placing your trust in something, then no doubt you should place your trust in Allah Almighty Jalla wa Ala. فَإِذَا عَزَمْتَ فَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ, that Allah Almighty Jalla wa Ala says that once you have made a decision, then place your trust in Allah. Once you have made your decision, then place your trust in Allah Almighty Jalla wa Ala. For whoever places his trust in Allah, وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ, Allah Almighty says in Surah Talaq verse number 3, that whosoever places his trust in Allah Almighty, know that He is sufficient for him. Allah is kafi for that individual. Allah is sufficient for that person. As long as you make a decision and you place your trust in Allah Almighty, then no doubt Allah is sufficient for you and me. Or akhri ayat here, Surah Al-Anfal mein verse number 2, that إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ إِذَا ذُكِرَ اللَّهُ وَجِلَتْ قُلُوبُهُمْ وَإِذَا تُلِيَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتُهُ زَادَتْهُمْ إِيمَانًا وَعَلَى رَبِّهِمْ يَتَوَكَّلُونَ. Allah Almighty mentions some of the characteristics of the believers in this verse from Surah Al-Anfal. Allah Almighty Jalla wa Ala says the believers are those whose hearts tremble when the name of Allah Almighty Jalla wa Ala is mentioned. Allah, that their hearts tremble when the name of Allah Almighty is mentioned. And the believers are those individuals whose faith increases when His words are recited, when the ayat of the Quran are recited, the iman increases. And this is sifat, and the believers are those who place their trust only in their sustainer. They place their trust only in their sustainer. So from these verses from Al-Quran Al-Kareem, we understand that, and we come to this realization that when we make a decision, we should place our trust in Allah Almighty Jalla wa Ala. For indeed, whoever places his trust in Allah, Allah is sufficient for him. And placing your trust in Allah Almighty is a sign of the believer, the mu'min, and a sign of Iman. And ultimately, we should know that Allah Almighty's grace and bounty is endless, for He is the possessor of great bounties. Wallahu dhu fadlin azim. So this is the nature and the natija of these 7 verses that Imam Abu Zakaria An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala mentioned at the beginning of this 7th chapter in relation to conviction and reliance in Allah Almighty Jalla wa Ala. We've looked at the definition of the words yaqeen and tawakkul, and we've looked at the verses that Imam Abu Zakaria An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala mentioned here at the beginning of this chapter, turning our attentions towards the Ahadith Mubarakah. And there are 10 narrations in this particular chapter regarding yaqeen and tawakkul. We're not going to go through all 10, but inshallah Azza wa Jal, just to mention a few to give us this understanding in relation to what is yaqeen and tawakkul, and the understanding of yaqeen and tawakkul in light of the words of Rasul Akram sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma, they do naqal, and this riwayat is the 76th narration here in Riyadh Al-Saliheen. Asal riwayat is mentioned in Bukhari Sharif that Allah Almighty no doubt is sufficient for us. Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. Allah Almighty is sufficient for us, and no doubt Allah Almighty is an excellent guardian for you and me. And an excellent guardian is He. And they said that who were the ones that uttered these words? Who uttered these words? They said that these were the words uttered by Khalilullah Ibrahim alayhi salam when he was thrown into the fire. Hina ulqiya fin nar. Yes. And these words were also uttered by Lajba Nabi Kareem Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam when the people said that the people have assembled to fight against you, so fear them. The people have assembled to fight against you, so fear them. Inna nasa kad jama'u lakum fakhshawhum fazadahum imana. And when the people said this to Lajba Nabi Kareem Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, this only increased their faith, and they said Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel, that Allah Almighty is sufficient for us and He is an excellent guardian over us. So here understand that these words that we are accustomed to, that we are familiar with when it comes to expressing our tawakkul in Allah Almighty, Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel, these words were first uttered by Ibrahim alayhi salam when he was thrown into the fire, when he was cast in the fire. And like this, these words were also mentioned by Lajba Nabi Kareem Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. In the commentary of this riwayat, they said that the polytheists of Makkah al-Mukarramah were disappointed that they did not kill all the Muslims at the Battle of Uhud, Jang-e Uhud, which happened in the 3rd year after Hijrah, in the month of Shawwal, the second major battle to take place between the believers and the mushrikeen in Makkah. And in truth, Allah Almighty had instilled such fear in them that they left the battle and returned to Makkah al-Mukarramah. Tawil discussion in relation to the Battle of Uhud, but we know that the general victory was with the mushrikeen in Makkah, but they had this disappointment that they were not able to kill all the Muslims at the Battle of Uhud. That's why Nabi Kareem Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam pursued them until they got to Hamratul Asad. Then he was informed that Abu Sufyan was on his way to attack Al-Madinatul Munawwara with a fresh new army. When the Sahaba Karam, Ridwanullahi Ta'ala alayhim ajma'een, heard this, they recited the dua mentioned in the hadith. So this is the background to when the Prophet ﷺ said the words, Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. Similarly, it is explained in Tafsir al-Qurtubi that Hazrat Sayyiduna Ibrahim alayhi salam, he recited this dua when he was thrown into the fire, and the angels in charge of water and wind came to his aid, but he refused their assistance. Instead, he placed his absolute conviction and his reliance on Allah Almighty Jalla wa'ala, who in turn guided him to turn his focus towards the heavens and towards Allah Almighty Jalla wa'ala. So on this basis, this hadith sharif tells us, the ulama karam say, that a person in difficulty or the one who is oppressed should recite this dua, Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. This is the dua of the Anbiya, of the Sahaba, of the Tabi'een, and the Saliheen. They would regularly recite these words, Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. And those of you who are watching, join with me in reciting these words, Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel, ni'mal mawlahu wa ni'mal nasir. Mushkil waqt aave na, when some sort of difficulty or hardship comes, then you should utter these words, and you should know that these words are extremely beneficial, and they were regularly recited by the Anbiya, Mursaleen, and Sahaba Karam, Pakane Ummat, Saliheen. And it should also be understood that when we are reciting, we should recite with conviction, and we should recite with this yaqeen, and also contemplating upon the words, and not just utterly mindlessly mentioning these words with the lips. So here, Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. Allah Almighty is sufficient for us, and an excellent guardian is He. In this riwayat in Riyadh Al-Saliheen, hadith number 76, we are given this understanding that the first from amongst the Anbiya to recite and utter these words of the dua was Khalilullah Ibrahim alayhi salam. Unlike this, Lajpal Nabi Kareem Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam also uttered these words as well. Agli riwayat mein, hadith number 77, ye Sahih Muslim Sharif ki riwayat, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Yadkhulul jannata aqwamun, that some people will enter paradise. Some people will enter paradise whose hearts are like the hearts of birds. So it is said that this means that they have full trust in Allah Almighty Jalla wa'ala. And others are of the opinion and the view that it means that their hearts are gentle. Yes. So man has been compared to birds because of all animals. Birds have the gentlest of hearts, and they therefore are very receptive to external impulses. Similarly, people have the capacity that their hearts are gentle, and they are receptive towards the message of Allah Almighty Jalla wa'ala. On the other hand, those who have hard hearts, they are hard-hearted, they are reluctant to listen to the voice of truth. And a true believer has trust in Allah Almighty Jalla wa'ala and does not worry about his sustenance. He is like a bird which relies on Allah Almighty Jalla wa'ala for its daily sustenance, as it is explained in a narration mentioned a bit further on, that لَوْ أَنَّكُمْ تَتَوَكَّلُونَ عَلَى اللَّهِ حَقَّ تَوَكُّلِهِ And that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said in Tirmidhi Sharif ki riwayat, that if you were to place your trust in Allah Almighty Jalla wa Ala, in the true sense of reliance, kama yarzuqu at-tayra, just as he provides sustenance to a bird, in the same way Allah Almighty will provide sustenance to you and me as well. What happens with the bird? The bird leaves in the morning with an empty stomach, but returns in the evening with a full stomach. So scholars have stated that a bird's effort in going out to acquire food points towards the acceptability of striving of one's sustenance. This does not contradict the concept of tawakkul. Imam Abul Qasim al-Kushairi, rahimahullah ta'ala, they explain that tawakkul is from the heart. Reliance, tawakkul is from the heart. However, the servant of Allah Almighty Jalla wa Ala needs to affirm that this sustenance is from Allah, whilst his actions are performed by the external limbs. His actions do not contradict tawakkul. If sustenance is not easily deprived, then it is by divine faith. And if it is easily attained, then it is because Allah Almighty has made it so. So we should place our trust in Allah Almighty, just as the bird places its trust in Allah, that the bird leaves in the morning with an empty stomach and returns in the evening with a full stomach. We ask Allah Almighty Jalla wa Ala to give us a true understanding of tawakkul and give us the tawfiq to do amal upon this. And here they mention that the bird sets out in the morning with an empty belly and returns in the evening with a full belly. Again, this narration is mentioned here. We end upon this narration that Lajbal Nabi Kareem Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam taught us the words of dua, that this dua, a comprehensive dua of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it reveals the supreme degree of faith and conviction in Allah Almighty Jalla wa Ala. This dua, koshish karo that you learn this dua. Dua kya hai? Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would make this dua. Bukhari Sharif mein hai, Allahumma laka aslamtu. Repeat after me. Allahumma laka aslamtu wa bika amantu wa alayka tawakkaltu wa ilayka anabtu wa bika khasamtu. Allahumma a'udhu bi'izzatika la ilaha illa anta an tudallani anta al-hayyu alladhi la yamutu wal jinnu wal insu la yamut. That, oh Allah, I have submitted before you alone. That Allahumma laka aslamtu wa bika amantu, and I believe in you alone. Wa alayka tawakkaltu, and I have placed my trust in you alone. Wa ilayka anabtu, and I have focused my attention towards you alone. Wa bika khasamtu, with a swad here, and it is by your help alone that I dispute with your enemies. Allahumma a'udhu bi'izzatika, that, oh Allah, I seek refuge in your might. La ilaha illa anta, and there is none worthy of worship except you, from you leading me astray. Anta al-hayyu alladhi la yamut, and you are the ever-living who does not die. Wal jinnu wal insu la yamut, whereas jinn and human beings will die. So this was a comprehensive dua made by Lajbal Nabi Kareem Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam in relation to the importance of tawakkul and the importance of placing your trust in Allah Almighty Jalla wa Ala. A lot more can be said, but I will leave it here, inshallah azza wa jal. Allah tabarak wa ta'ala allow us to fully understand the importance of placing our trust in Him, our reliance upon Him. Remember, tie the camel and then place your trust in Allah Almighty Jalla wa Ala. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala keep us all qaim wa daim upon this. Inshallah, tomorrow's discussion will be in relation to chapter number 8, Babun fil Istiqamati, the chapter in relation to steadfastness. Steadfastness. So what is Istiqama? And the verses of the Quran and some hadith mubarakah in relation to Istiqama. We will go through this tomorrow. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala keep us all qaim wa daim upon Aqidah Ahli Sunnati wal Jama'at. And Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala grant us all khatma bil iman. Ameen bi jahi Nabil Kareem. Wa sallallahu ta'ala ala habibihi Muhammadin wa alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. Rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.